Well, this is Mary Beth Harrison with Dallas Native Live, and thanks for joining me today in our I guess our market update is what we're going to be talking about today. I usually have a guest with me, but today we're just going to be full of numbers. So if you're not a numbers person, either, go get a sandwich or lay down and take a nap, whatever. But numbers rule our lives, unfortunately and fortunately. And our market is um, so weird right now. That's just the best way I know to put it. I don't know that in my years of doing this that I've ever seen a market quite like this. It's not that we are unaccustomed to multiple offers, because that has certainly happened to us in the past. So that's not a new phenomenon for some of us. But the fact that it is so pervasive in our marketplace, whether you're in Rockwall and Frisco and McKinney and Dallas and wherever, it's everywhere. And as with always with real estate, if it looks good, if it's priced right, it's going to sell. I don't care if it needs everything. If your house is a original owner, lovingly cared for, dated back to the 50s and 60s, I don't care. If it's priced right, there's a buyer for it. It's when things get priced too high, that's when we see things sit on the market for a long time. And interestingly enough, we're seeing price reductions on some of our houses. I think people got maybe a little over aggressive in pricing. But we had an appraiser speak to us just recently, and the very first question out of our mouth was, are you using the new values? Meaning, let's just say a house was priced at 200,000, but someone offered 250,000, which is not uncommon, and got it. So the house actually sold for 250,000, even though it was listed at 200,000. Which number are they using? And the appraiser said, arguably 250 is the new value. So that is the numbers they're using. So it has been, gave us all a good feeling to know that our clients aren't necessarily buying something so high out of the market. So in a case like that, let's just use that example for a minute. The house was priced at 200,000. The buyer offered 250,000. So let's just say it did appraise for only 200,000. The buyer has to come up with their down payment. So let's just say it was 10%. Let me make my numbers easy. So they had to come up with the 20,000 or the 20,000, and plus the 50. So they had to come up with $70,000 to close this house because it only appraised for 200,000. Well, interestingly enough, in the last several homes I've sold, the appraised value has come up to almost what the buyers have offered. So they've not had to come out of pocket at all. And in fact, one of mine that came way over asking price to buy the house that they got, the house actually appraised for $1,000 more than what they bought it for. So we're starting to see the appraisals catch up to our market. So like 3 months ago, we weren't in quite this aggressive of a state. And so appraisers are always looking backwards. We realtors are always looking forwards, right? And so it took a while for the appraisers to catch up to us, but they have now. And I'm finding that really, really interesting that every one of my buyers that have gone over asking price, all of them have met appraisal, and some of them, the appraisal has been actually above that. So, so that's good news, is that the lender is loaning on what the buyers are buying. So that's just one way to look at this. We get our MLS statistics through, takes a month, because so we get them about the beginning, about the 10th or 11th of each month. So right now what I have is our May numbers. I don't have June's numbers yet because we're not through with June yet, right? So again, we're looking backwards a little bit, but the numbers have not changed a lot month to month to month, because I look at this every month. And what I find interesting, first of all, you need to understand that when I talk about our multiple listing statistics, we go as far north as almost the Oklahoma border, and as far south is just almost Waco. East, we go Mineral Wells, Stephenville, we go past Fort Worth, and if you'll just follow I-20, we go to Tyler, Shreveport. I mean, we go way east. So our geographic area that we're talking about when I start talking about these numbers is huge. It's absolutely huge. If you want to know about your specific neighborhood, and even more than just your neighborhood, but your specific where your house is, you can go to our info at dallasnative.com and ask us, give us your address, and we'll be more specific for you. Even to say Preston Hollow, or to say the M Streets, or to say Richardson or Richardson Heights. Those are really big areas. Prestonwood, oh my gosh, Prestonwood covers 4 major streets. They weren't very creative back then, were they? They just named these subdivisions and included a huge geographic area. And so to be very specific, we take your house, your neighborhood, and we build a case for the house using those specific numbers. So if you do want more specific information, certainly contact us, and Candace will put, sorry, I didn't even introduce you when we started. My trusty sidekick there, Candace Barnes, is looking at our chat box, and also, and if you have questions, please go to the chat box, not the Q&A, but the chat box, and write in whatever you want, and we'll stop and answer questions as we go along. But again, if you want specific information, absolutely, contact us, because I am going to be talking in broad strokes. As you can see, when I just defined what our geographic area is for the DFW area, it's huge. So looking at our May statistics, we had 10,700 sales, which was 27% over May of last year. So our sales are way up. Well, I know you're sitting there going, well, wait, everyone's telling me that inventory is down. Well, it is. Inventory is down 64% in the month of May. We only had 7,067 listings, active listings, in the month of May. That's not a lot when you consider there's what, 30,000 realtors? That doesn't even compute. There's not enough houses for the number of realtors. If every one of us had a buyer, we're out of houses, and you can see how that would be eaten up very quickly. I'm going to talk about that again further in, about that supply and demand situation that's going on. Our average price in the month of May, and I'm reading this time, I don't usually read so much when I'm doing these, but there's so much statistics that I couldn't memorize all of them. So our average price is up 34% in the month of May. However, year over year is 24%. So, or year to date, I'm sorry. It's like, so 6 months in, basically halfway into the year almost, we're at 24% appreciation in our housing. Although we're 66% down in active listings year to date. So we're not seeing that getting a lot better. We're not seeing that housing market kind of moving any quicker or more coming on the market. Condos and townhomes have really jumped up a lot. There were 95% more sales, more condo townhome sales in the month of May. That's a lot. I mean, 95%, that is a bunch. That was 795 sales of condos and townhomes, which sometimes can get a little bit slower. Those numbers can back down quite a bit. If you look at year to date, the condo sales are up 64%. So there's still, that number's really pretty high. And the average price in year to date is 18%. So we're seeing even our condo townhome market jump up as well. And the active listings on that are down 42%. So even our condo townhomes are showing signs of increased sales as well. It's a a really good entity for a new home buyer, so they don't have to take care of yards and all that yet. And it's funny, I know a lot of my buyers looking at townhomes and condos go, but the HOA fee. And I'm like, well, wait, let's think about that. You're paying a different kind of insurance on those kind of things, almost like a renter's insurance, because on a condo, you only own the inside walls, right? And so, and they're taking care of the roof and some of the major exterior things that you don't have to deal with, the yard, all of those things. So if you start adding those things up, what you would spend if you owned a home, it sometimes makes the HOA not seem quite so bad when you start adding it all together. But I digress. Let's jump back to some numbers here. It's not surprising that in the month of May that the bulk of our sales were from 200,000 to, oh, let's just follow that one across, from 200,000 to 700,000. It's really the first time that we've seen that $600,000 to $700,000 price range jump up as high as it has. But those are in the thousands. The sales year to date are way up there, with the highest being 300 to 400,000. That is still the sweet spot. It has been for quite some time, and it continues to be our sweet spot of $300,000 to $400,000. That product, that house, and that price is becoming more and more difficult every day to find. So, but it has surprised me that year to date there's been 10,000 sales from 300 to 400. Now again, think how big our area is. You know, you take it in from, like I said, from Shreveport to past Fort Worth, from Oklahoma down to Waco. It's a big geographic area. So there's a lot of $300,000 to $400,000 houses in those surrounding areas. We think of the core of Dallas, and certainly that price range is very difficult to find. If you're trying to stay within the loop, I guess would be a good way to look at that. So, so housing is still alive and well and rocking along. Chris Kelly, the CEO and president of our Ebby Halliday Corporation, spoke this last week, and he gave us a market update, basically 6 months in, taking a look at the market as a whole. And it was so interesting to me. I want to share some of that with you because he said, you know, as he said, sales are higher. There's no doubt we've had more sales. Again, I go back to, well, wait, if we don't have much inventory, how are we having more sales? Well, I loved his explanation. It was so perfect. It's like if you go to, and so I'm stealing from Chris Kelly right now. I just want you to know I'm stealing his thunder. He's one of my favorite people to listen to. Yeah.
I'm calling him right now.
Okay, let him know that I've stolen his thunder. So I love that he explains, if you go to a restaurant and they fill up your glass of water, and you take a couple of sips and they fill it up, and you take a couple of sips and they fill it up. It's like the glass is never becoming empty. So as new inventory comes on, it is selling so fast that we're not seeing the active listings. So in our minds, we don't have a lot of inventory, but the reality is the inventory is coming on. It's just being scooped up so quickly that we're not seeing active houses available because they're being sold. Average days on market is down tremendously. I mean, just crazy. I mean, it used to be 30 days, 30 showings. If you don't have an offer, you've priced the house incorrectly. Now it's almost like, what, 24, 48 hours if you don't have an offer, you've priced it incorrectly. It's, you know, very, very fast in this market if your house is a sellable house at the price you've priced it at. Everything sells. So get that really clear. There's nothing that won't sell at the right price. There's the catch, is at the right price. So, so yeah, I thought that was really an interesting analogy of the way to look at our inventory and our absorption of that inventory when he described it that way, because it was very graphic, and I totally get it. It's like you can't drink enough water before they're filling it back up and you're consuming it. So, but as looking at the market year to date, almost 6 months in, because we're almost at the end of June now, throughout all of North Texas. So as he did, I'm going to start big and take it down into individual counties. So North Texas, all total, we are 17.7% up in closed sales. So we've sold more houses in all of North Texas than this time last year. The average price is up 21.5%. The average price through all of North Texas is $381,000 now. I can remember not long ago that it hadn't broken wouldn't break 300,000. We were sitting at a 275, 290 all around North Texas. And so to see that up so high, that's impressive. That's our average sales price. And our days on our month supply is down 54%. We're at 2.1 months supply of housing all over North Texas. So I want to talk about that for a second. A equal market, or a what do you want to call it? Steady market. Thank you. Balanced market. Thank you. I'll take all the words I can get. Is 6 months supply, meaning there is a 6 month supply of housing all over. That means it's neither a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's just an even, balanced market. So here we are looking at all over North Texas, only a 2.1 month supply of housing, meaning if not one more house came on the market, not one, in 2 months, we'd be out of houses to sell, period. That's what a month's supply means. Now, as I said, the water glass keeps getting full, right? So that 2.1 month supply might stay pretty even, might go up a little bit, might go down a little bit, depending on how quickly and things come on and get sold. But nonetheless, 2 months is not a lot of supply of housing. In Dallas County, our closed sales are up 21%. The average sales price is up 29% to $450,000. So in Dallas County, so the first numbers were Texas, were all of North Texas. Now we're into specifically Dallas County, and even there, our average sales price is up $450,000, that's really high. And we only have a 1.9 month supply of housing in Dallas County. Now think about that. Dallas County goes down into Mesquite, goes up into parts of Richardson, because that is still Dallas County, even though it's Richardson City. It goes over into Rowlett, I think, gets a little iffy there. It starts to be in Rockwall County, but edges of it, Garland, get to be in Dallas County. So we're talking a really big geographic area again for just Dallas County. Let's take that down a little bit further. Collin County. Collin County is 11% up in closed sales, 23% up in the sales price. So $470,000 is now the average sales price in Collin County. Now again, and there's only a 1.4 month supply of housing in Collin County. So let's talk about Collin County. So we're talking Frisco, McKinney, Allen,
Murphy,
Plano, Murphy. What am I missing here? I'm sure I'm missing something, so forgive me if I'm missing one of your cities. But again, a pretty good geographic area, right? Spanning kind of east and west there, north of Georgia Bush Freeway, line there somewhere around Frankfort-ish, that starts to become Collin County versus Dallas County, even though they go to Richardson schools or Plano schools or Garland schools or whatever. So foregoing school districts, you're still in the county. So Collin County numbers are up there as well. Denton County. Denton County is closed sales are up 2.4%. So they're up really they're up very high as well, and 22% in average sales price. So even their average sales price in Denton County is at $440,000, and they have a 1.2 month supply of housing. So you can see the drill here. I mean, none of our counties have much supply of housing at all. Again, I repeat, if not one more thing came on the market, not one more house came on the market today, in 1 month, we'd be out of houses. In Tarrant, Denton, Collin, we'd be Dallas, we'd be out of houses. It would take 2 months for all of North Texas to be out of houses. That's not very long, guys. It's 30 days. That's just not very long at all to be so low in our inventory. Those are really phenomenal numbers to me. They are, yeah, it's amazing to me. I understand, having been doing this for into my 31st year now, I've seen the lowest of lows. I've seen the highest of highs. I've seen complete devastation where we could not give a house away. I don't care where we priced it. We were happy if a house sold in 6 months. I mean, we all remember those days and that wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago at all that we were seeing that inflation of housing, that we just couldn't get anything sold. When I started selling real estate, interest rates were 16, 18%. I mean, it was staggering numbers, and now we're looking at 3%, 4%. It's just amazing to me to see the swing from one extreme to the other. So if there's been a market, I think I've lived through it so far as easy to sell, hard to sell, can't get enough of them, have too many of them. It's been a little bit of everything in a lifetime here of selling real estate. Some people have come in and only know what it's like to put a house on the market and sell it in 2 seconds. It's going to be really hard on them and on our sellers when everything changes, and it will. Everything does. Doesn't mean things won't sell. Don't get me wrong. Anything will sell at the right price, but it just might take longer. That's the catch. Candace, did you have your hand up for a question?
Andrew says 4.5 months for Collin County? Question mark. Well, yeah, 4 points.
No. Collin County is 470,000 is your average price. 1.4 months supply of housing. Basically, only not even a month and a half. Does that answer it?
Hold on. Andrew, I'm going to bring you on as far as, well, it won't allow him to talk. Okay, he said thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, guys, don't hesitate to go into the question and answer, to the chat room, sorry, into the chat room, not the question and answer, but the chat room, and ask questions as we go through. I know I'm throwing out a lot of numbers, and it's kind of overwhelming. I get that, but numbers don't lie. I'm a numbers girl. It's very clear when you look at a market analysis for a particular house or a particular neighborhood. It's very, very clear. And I know a lot of you look at a price per foot. I know I'm jumping off topic here, but that's so typical of me. It's not even surprising anymore.
It's normal.
Seriously, it's like, oh, look, there's a shiny penny or an exit sign or something. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of realtors don't know any more than to look at price per foot when they look at a neighborhood. That's not a fair way to look at a neighborhood, although it does give you, as I call it, my small, medium, large look at a neighborhood, meaning you can tell what total needs everything house, original owner lovingly cared for, would sell for, what somewhat done, maybe a bathroom or maybe a kitchen or maybe flooring or something. And then where's that house that sets the market? That house that is standing at attention, 2021 standards, it sets the market for everybody. It sets the new bar. And it allows all these other houses to jump up a little bit. Otherwise, think about it. We'd always have flat line. We would never go up and down. We always have flat line pricing. There's always that house that sets the market. But it's not just price per foot. That's not the way to look at something. It's, you kind of have to build a case for it. In some instances, our land is worth more than the house is. In some of our parts of Dallas, our Park Cities, Preston Hollow, I mean, gosh, Canyon Creek is, they're tearing them down up there. In Lake Highlands, the same thing. Some of our houses have outlived their usefulness. They were 2-bedroom, 1-bath or whatever, but the land is what's worth the money. So I often tell my clients that come in from out of town, south of 635, and really it's gone north of there, but in some of our instances, our land is worth what, $400,000 to $1 million just for the dirt, just the dirt. And then you have to go, well, is there a $100,000 house sitting on it? Well, I'd argue there is. Okay, so your price, your price is now $600,000 or whatever. You kind of have to build a case for your house. Does yours have more rooms? Does yours have more updates? Does yours have, so you can't just walk in and go, well, every house sold for $1 a square foot and yours should too. It doesn't work that way. And you have to be very, a little more analytical and delve into it a little bit more to determine what the price of a specific house in a specific neighborhood will sell for. So just a quick lesson in that, because I often get, especially newer agents that don't know what else to hang their hat on. So price per foot is it. And our buyers are the same way. I mean, they don't know what else to look for. So they kind of cling to that price per foot very dearly, kind of like a cat on a piece of carpet. They just, that's all they know. And so it's up to us to educate them a little bit on how do we actually come up with our pricing for our houses. And as I said, as these house prices are going up because buyers are coming in over asking price to get some of these houses, that is establishing our new normal. And again, it allows everybody to kind of hop up a little bit. There is a point where you've hopped up too far, isn't it? We see that when houses stay on the market, and especially now, if for any length of time, you pretty well get that it's you probably priced it a little high. And some of our sellers are getting a little, for not a better word, just a little greedy on pricing it too high to start with. Let the buyers do that. Let the buyers determine what the price is. Sorry, you're getting ready to hear a siren come by. That's what we love about our live videos here. We get to hear really live stuff. So I want to go further with our analysis here, because what I also found interesting in Chris Kelly's talk was that our outlying counties, such as Kaufman County, Rockwall County, Henderson, I could go on and on of our outlying counties, not just Dallas, Collin, Tarrant, Denton, but outside of that, those areas are also just selling like hotcakes. It's crazy. They're also in double-digit volume sales. So we're not just seeing it in what we kind of consider the hub, but all the outlying areas are experiencing the same kind of appreciation that we are here in the heart of the city. Interestingly, too, the luxury market is doing gangbusters. I can remember, gosh, Candace, and we look at this because we look at this every month on our team. I can remember, what, 6 months ago, maybe not even that long ago, that luxury, meaning luxury over $1 million, is considered a luxury in our definition. There was 12-month, 13, 15-month supply of housing in that price range. Now there's a 5.6-month supply of housing all over MLS. So again, Oklahoma to Waco, past Fort Worth and Shreveport, 5.6-month supply. So again, we're almost at an even market there, neither buyer nor seller market. But if you take it into a micro, if you take it into a very small look at specific neighborhoods, there's not even a 5.6-month supply of housing. Matter of fact, looking at the MLS, there's in the million and more in all of our MLS, there's only a 2.4 month supply of housing in the million and more. Condos, now that's a whole other conversation. Condos in that price range, month supply is way up there. So, but as far as the luxury market, it's up 10% in sales price from where it was. But yeah, the closed sales 158.6%. That's an amazing number that many high-end homes are selling. So inventory and home prices are starting to get better. The new construction, we call home starts, are what is lagging right now, really, really badly. Although I understand that permits, which equals new housing, because you've got to have a permit before you can build the home, is definitely up. And Texas is outpacing the country in new home permits. So that's good news, because our demand for new housing is staggering. And I don't know if any of you have tried to sell a new construction recently, but for a while, the builders were only selling for a month, and then they were taking a wait list. Some were even charging to be on that wait list, which I found to be kind of interesting, but selling for a month on a wait list for the next month, which they may or may not sell. And then prices went up so ridiculous for wood and lumber, things that need to be put into sheetrock, all of those things went up so high. Price appreciation, just regulations alone, are up 23%. And lumber price is making houses go up over $36,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money going into new construction. And now we're seeing some of these builders won't pre-sell at all. They're waiting till the home gets built before they'll put a price on it, because prices for everything from copper to the metal to the sheetrock to the flooring, all of it. Some of that stuff that's hard to even get. It's hard to even get those supplies right now, but also the pricing is going up so dramatically that they can't afford to sell it here, and 6-9 months later when they finally build it, knowing that the price is going to be here, they can't afford that. So you can understand why the builders are a little reluctant to pre-sell like they used to. Used to be a subdivision opened and you got to come in and pick your lot and pick your elevation and all of that stuff. And 6-9 months later, you got a house. Well, it's taking longer now. We lost a lot of time during the weather in February. We lost a lot of time because of all the rains that we had. You can't pour slab when it's pouring down rain like that. And so there's a lot of things that have affected our building market right now, but it's also affecting the number of houses we have for sale. Because in the past, we've had this many pre-owned homes, but we've had this many new homes. So together we had a pretty good amount of inventory, right? Not happening right now. The building market is way, way down. But I was really glad to hear that Texas is outpacing the country in permits, which will equal new housing.
Mary Beth, just to interject, if anybody missed the supply and demand video, the Facebook Live that we did last week, that's a really good one to go back and listen to, just because Scott with Exteriors, Scott Exteriors, he actually kind of goes over the situation that they're dealing with about supply and demand, and they're having to order stuff way in advance and just house it. That's a big problem that a lot of these people are having.
Yeah, Kirk Scott with Scott Exteriors is roofing, gutters, windows, all of those things that need to go into a house, and even our pre-owned homes, you know, that they need to redo roofs and whatever. And if they're having to stockpile that stuff, a lot of these companies don't have the room to stockpile that stuff, nor the money to buy it to stockpile it.
Correct.
right? So it's just larger issues here. The other thing I think is fascinating to me, although distressing to me, but fascinating, is our workforce. People are making so much more money on unemployment that they're not going back to work. And that's just killing our workforce. I know that they're short of sheetrock people. They're short. I mean, these builders are clamoring to try and find bricklayers and all the things that we need to build a new home, but even to repair an old home. How long is it taking? Someone was telling me that they have been over 6 months with a hole in the ground to try and get a pool built. So they're talking 6-9 months before you even dig a hole to get a pool now. So everything is just backed up. Everything is, I understand unemployment is getting ready to stop in Dallas, in Texas, this Saturday. They're stopping unemployment payments, and that'll be a good thing because people just need to go back to work. They were earning more doing nothing. And so we're seeing restaurants closing. We're seeing so much happening right now because of lack of help. You can't go into a restaurant and expect quick service or your meal quick or anything else because they're short of servers, they're short of cooks, they're short of, you just know you're not going to get the normal service that you normally do. And it's the same thing with our housing, our housing being built. It's not going quick. And I know that's frustrating our buyers because they want answers. They want to be able to go to the site and see that it was poured or see that the sticks and bricks are starting to go up, and that's just not happening. So I want to jump back to what we were talking about. Price appreciation, 23+% is, I'm sorry, I just talked about that in regulations of what it's doing to our new home prices. People are worried about, are we in a bubble? I hear that a lot. Is that, is this just it's just like it was back in 2008 when things just skyrocketed and then plummeted. If you look at a graph, our area, DFW area, never bubbled. We never did this. We did go up a little bit, but because we didn't have the meteoric rise, we didn't have the catastrophic fall. And this is a totally different scenario from what it was back then. It's not likely, because our demand is so high, it's not likely that and I don't want to seem so cocky that, oh, we live in Dallas, and so, not going to happen to us. I certainly don't want that mentality. However, look at how many new companies are coming into our area. And again, when I say Dallas, I'm speaking of our whole Metroplex. I'm speaking of our whole DFW area from Fort Worth up into the northern areas and down and around. The industrial things that are coming into our southern sector. I mean, it's incredible to me how many businesses are moving here. And what we don't think about is when you get a business moving here, let's just take State Farm, for example. That was a very large move here. Or Toyota, that was a very large move here. That was a lot of people moving into our city from out of state where they were located. And what I think people don't consider is if people who serve State Farm or Toyota or the coffee company that moved here, it's like their printer or their machine people or their IT people, they looked up and went, well, wait a minute, if they're moving, our company's going to move too, because they were very important to us. They were a big user of our company. And so the copier companies and all the little ancillary businesses that supported that big company moved here as well. And so we don't think about those. We always think, oh, the big company's moving here, this is going to be great. I don't think all of us took into consideration how many smaller companies moved with the big company. It's kind of like a school of fish, they all start going. It's like, well, I'm going to join that school of fish. Well, I'm going to join that school of fish, and off we go, right? And so it's not just the big companies that are moving here, it's the smaller companies that come to supply them. And so the move to Texas has been incredible. It's like something I have never seen before. California is taxing their people, and government has become so outrageous that it's just like a mass exodus out of California. We're getting it from New York as well. So the influx of people that are coming just to move here, not because they have a job here necessarily, but just they want out of where they were, or grandparents who live there and their kids are here. Why would we live there if the kids are here? And so a lot of migration into our state, a lot. And we're seeing that, which gives us all, and the economists that I've spoken to, and of course Chris Kelly going over that with us the other day, it gives us a little more solid ground to think that our prices are not exponentially going up. Yeah, that's a good word. It just gives us a little bit of affirmation that we're not in a bubble. We're just adjusting to the number of people that are moving into our area. And I also find that we are so diverse in our industry here. We're not all banking or all oil or all IT or all any one thing. We are so diverse in our economy here, and the number of businesses, that it would take a lot. One business is not going to knock us down. It's not like when the industry, the IT industry went so awry back in, I don't even remember when, but it really devastated a lot of areas that were very heavily IT, that were very heavily into the internet, into computers, into all of that. Banking, when banking went bad, when oil went bad, I mean, we go in cycles of all kinds of industries. It's not like we're immune to any of that, but we are so diverse in what we are here in the North Texas area that it would be hard for any one industry to just devastate us now, because we're just too diverse. So I think there's a lot of things that come into play here, and that's going to keep us pretty solid. Again, I don't want to just be cocky and it can't happen to me. And we've all been there, haven't we? Especially as teenagers. Oh, you don't mean me. But I do think that we're pretty insulated here from major catastrophe, I guess is the best way for me to put it, or financial catastrophe. So in answer to the question of, do I think we're in a bubble? Not when the appraiser's meeting appraised value. It's not, when we're starting to see that, it says everything to me. When lenders are willing to lend, then kind of speaks volumes. Yeah, we have a question?
Yes. Andrew has another question. How much are people spending over list price for homes in North Dallas, Fort Worth area when list prices are $350 to $450?
Oh my gosh. I've had 2 buyers now go over $100,000 to get the house. And they did get the house, but they had to go over $100,000 to do it. I'm on my 8th or 9th offer for one of my buyers, and he's pretty consistently come in easily 30, 50,000 over asking. I mean, he's saved up enough money. He has made up his mind. This is how it's going to get spent, and he's okay with that. Mm-hmm. And we have yet to win one. And I mean, we're writing really good offers. Buyers paying title policy, not asking for a home warranty, not willing to give up option period. I'm just not.
I heard one this morning. The buyers own a pizza place and they gave the sellers free pizza for a year. That's what I heard this morning.
I've heard some fun stuff as well. If he had a firstborn, he'd offer it right now, but that's not working. So I've seen, and in the million or more, it's nothing for that to be 300 or 500,000 over asking. I've seen that quite a bit in the higher end homes. That
he's asking, when relocating, should people be ready to make a cash offer?
I'm
We're not
That's so,
seeing cash offers specifically.
no, and it's frustrating to me because I don't allow my buyers to get in my car without being not just pre-qualified. I need them to be pre-approved, meaning I need a house to go with my loan. And if buyers aren't prepared to do that, then they need to get out of your car, because no one is going to accept an offer from a buyer that is not pre-approved, meaning you can drop your financing contingency on the third-party finance. So it really is just like a cash transaction. They're guaranteed they're going to get this loan unless something with the house doesn't appraise.
Now I'm
But
seeing
everything
more of
else.
that than anything.
Mm-hmm. Right. So my loan offer is equal to your cash offer because we've already got the loan. And if you've got a good loan officer, he will make a phone call to the other agent saying, these people are golden. They have got ridiculous credit scores. They are golden. But your buyers have absolutely got to do their job. They have got to go get all of their documents to the lender, and all they need now is an address to make their loan start to click in.
And make
Really
sure to
important.
work with a local lender too. That is crucial.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be working with these people coming from California. They can't be working with a California lender. Their laws are different. Everything about it's different. You can't be doing that. They've got to back it up with someone here.
Andrew says, should I sell my home before looking for a new home?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's a tough one. Now, I will tell you that every one of my buyers, the cool thing about a lot of these buyers is they're renting. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, and they have the luxury of giving free lease back for a month or two. So the way I'm writing a lot of the contracts for my clients under a seller's temporary lease back is with 30-day notice, or 15, or whatever your buyer needs, with 30-day notice from seller to buyer. Seller may choose the termination date on a lease not to exceed August 30th, whatever date my buyers need, right? So we're giving them free lease back so they have the time to either go find a house or close on the one they're closing on. But we're just trying to give them options, just trying to give them options. So a lot of these sellers are okay with putting their house on the market because no one's going to take a contingency offer. Nobody is going to take a contingency offer right now on the successful closing and funding of your home at 1234 Main Street while you're trying to buy mine. Why would they? They've got too many offers.
So Andrew is moving from Austin, so the sale will probably be really fast.
Yes, it will. Austin's as crazy as Dallas is right now, if not crazier.
I mean, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, I'm talking to, I think we talked about it last week, Hawaii has a lottery. So you can't even just walk in and go buy a house. Like you stand in line in the morning and then there's a lottery that's picked at random on if you get that house. So
that's just crazy.
I know. So yeah, if you have specifics, Andrew, I would definitely get in contact with Mary Beth, so that way we can figure out where you need to be.
How to best help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every situation is so unique. It's not one size fits all.
No, that would be easier if it was one size fits all. It's like, here's the box, we're all going to fit in it, and this is how this is going to go.
Yeah.
It's just
we can just line everybody up and like literally just find a house for everybody, but that's not how. There's so many variables to each.
That is exactly,
each buyer and seller.
Without a doubt. So yeah, without a doubt. These are strange times we're living in. And I want to talk about one other thing real quick. I don't even know what my time is, Candace. Do you?
You're at 12:49 right now, so you're fine.
Okay. I want to talk about the cost of waiting, because I know that some of you buyers out there are just like, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with this. We know for a fact that interest rates right now are in the 3s. We also know that rates are going to go up. We've been told that. For the most part, I'm hearing that it's in the fourth quarter. I try to listen to as many economists as I can listen to from all walks of life, not just real estate, but from all walks of life. And everyone that I've listened to seems to agree that it's going to be more towards the fourth quarter. When I talk about rise of interest rates, I'm not talking outrageous. I'm talking into the fours, which is a phenomenal rate. I mean, remember that when I first started, people were 16 to 19% in interest rate. Can you imagine? And here we are complaining because it went up from 3 to 3.5. I'm like, really? Come on, guys. It's just, that's ridiculous. And so I have a chart here that I found to be so interesting that one of our lenders put together. We're talking a $500,000 loan amount. Let's just start there at 3%. Your principal and interest, not taxes and insurance, just principal and interest would be 2108. So let's just make it 2100, make my numbers easy for a second. So $500,000 loan, 3% interest, 2100 is your payment, principal and interest. Well, what happens when it jumps up to 3.125? Now your buying power went down to $492,000 for the same $2,100 payment. Well, let's jump all the way over to 4%. If interest rates jump up to 4%, that $500,000 house, you can now only afford $441,548,000. So you've lost over $50,000 in buying power to keep the same payment of $2,100. So 3%, $2,100 bought you a $500,000 house, meaning your payment, $2,100 in payment, was a $500,000 purchase price. Let's just jump it down to 3.5%. It drops it down to $469,000, $446,000 to keep the same $2,100 payment. And if rates go up to 4%, and they're going to, you've now lost your buying power down to $441,548 to keep the same price. Because for me, I don't understand what 500,000 is, 300,000, I don't understand that. It's just a number. It's just a number, right? What I want to know is what my payment's going to be. That's what's important to me. It's like buying a car. I don't care what the car costs. Tell me what the payment's going to be. I can either afford it or I can't. It's real simple. Now, do I care what the price is? Well, of course I do. But the bottom line is we all have an idea in mind of, or a budget in mind of what we can afford in a house, right? So if we know that we are comfortable with a payment of $2,100, then this is how much you can start looking for a house. So I know that you're frustrated. I know some of you buyers are up to here with it, but just understand your buying power goes down so dramatically. When interest rates were below 3 last year, and my buyers got so frustrated in trying to find a house that they decided to get out of the market. Do you understand that that same house is now over $100,000 more than what they could have bought it for if they bought it last year? So what's the cost of waiting? I'd say it's pretty doggone extensive. It is pretty extensive. So while I know you're frustrated and I know that this seems like a really tough market, if you can just hang in there, your buying power is really great. So for what that's worth, I know that's not great comforting. You'll find a house like that and it'll go just like you want. I wish I could say that to you, but I can't. Like I said, I'm on the 8th offer with one of my buyers right now. And every time we go out, he'll write an offer. It's not like he's being picky. It's not like he hasn't tried. It's not any of that. It's just kind of the way it is.
But I think that kind of helps too, is between you and John both, is before taking somebody out, y'all both sit down with them and go over their specifics. Like we were saying earlier, not every buyer and not every seller are created equal. And y'all's needs and wants are also different. And so not only with this market, y'all are being very diligent in making sure that you're accommodating them. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, you're right. It's you have to listen to what people want and then go help them find it and then figure out how to best get them into it. And sometimes if what you can afford is $400,000, and that's a lot of money. I'm not I mean, believe me, 200,000 is a lot of money, but let's just say you want to spend 400,000, then maybe we need to be looking at a $350,000 house so that you can put that additional money to get the house. That may be what it comes down to. And so, like you said, that's a really good way to put it, Candace, is you just have to look at every situation a little differently. Is, you know, how's this going to go down for you?
Correct.
So do we have any other questions before we
We do not. Everybody is
Okay.
listening. So I hope you guys are taking notes. And if you have any questions, like we said earlier, email us at info@dallasnative.com. Our website's dallasnative.com. And we hope to hear from Andrew. Yes, Andrew, thank you very much too. I appreciate you listening to us and staying with us for this hour.
seriously in Austin, no less.
Yes.
So, and welcome to Dallas if you're moving here. I'm born and raised here, so I'm a little prejudiced, but you're going to love it here. But anyway, I know I've thrown out a lot of numbers to you all today, and I certainly understand it was a lot to be thrown out at one time. But numbers are it's just a good way to look at what's happening and why it's happening and understanding why it's happening. That's really the big catch, is the understanding of the why, and why I don't see it as a negative, which a lot of people are, you know, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, is look at things like this as a big negative. And I don't know that I'm looking at it as a big negative. I know some of you all lived through watching your parents' house go from this price to this price at some point back in, what, 08, whenever it was, so 05, 08. But I don't know that that's what we're seeing here. But here's the other flip side. It's like owning a stock or whatever, Bitcoins, whatever you want to own. You can't look at things daily as a price. Were you going to move? Because if you weren't, what difference does it make that your house went down 10,000 in value? Who cares? You're not moving. So let's wait and worry about that when you are ready to move. And then let's see what the actual price is. But you can't keep looking at it every day going, oh my gosh, the neighbor down the street sold for whatever. Or, oh my gosh, he sold for this. Or you can't do that. You can't. Well, you can, but you shouldn't.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. It's not healthy. It's like anything else. There's always going to be the wave, always, right? But if you just ride the wave, you'll come out just fine if you just hang in there for a minute. So again, thank you so much for listening. I do not take for granted that you give me an hour of your time on Wednesdays. I really appreciate it. And again, please feel free to find us at dallasnative.com, info@dallasnative.com, to email us. And thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, guys.